September 23, 2022, according to Reuters News, Russia's top diplomat on Saturday said regions that Ukraine where widely derided referendums are being held would be under Russia's full protection if they are annexed by Moscow, amid fears that Russia could further escalate the conflicts and even use nuclear weapons. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov addressed the UN General Assembly and the war media in New York attempt to justify Russia's February invasion of Ukraine, repeating Moscow's false claim that the elected government in Kiev was illegitimately installed oppressed Russian speakers in the country's east. Russia on Friday launched referendums in 4 eastern Ukrainian regions aimed at annexing territory it has taken by force. Kiev said residents were being coerced to voting and were not allowed to leave the regions during the vote, which Western nations dismissed as a sham designed to justify an escalation of the 7-month-old war. Following those referendums, Russia, of course, will respect the expression of the will of the people who, for many long years, have been suffering from abuse of the neo-Nazi regime, said Lavrov. As if Russia would have grounds for using nuclear weapons to defend the next region of Ukraine, Lavrov said Russia's territory, including territory further enshrined in Russia's constitution in the future, is under the full protection of the state. All of the laws, doctrines, concepts, and strategies of Russian Federation apply to all of its territory, he said, also referring specifically to Russia's doctrine on the use of nuclear weapons. The comment came after explicit warning on Thursday by former President Dmitry Medvedev and ally of Russia's President Vladimir Putin that any weapons in Moscow's arsenal, including strategic nuclear weapons, could be used to defend territories incorporated into Russia. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Kuleba said Lavrov's comments and Putin's earlier statement when he said he was not bluffing about using nuclear weapons were irresponsible and absolutely unacceptable. Ukraine won't give in. We call on all nuclear power to speak out now and make it clear to Russia that such rhetorics put the war at risk and will not be tolerated. Russia accused the United States and others being parties to the conflict because they are sending weapons to help Ukraine defend itself. The likely annexation of Ukrainian territory raised the question of how Russia might respond to the use of Western weapons in those regions. Ukraine also requests an urgent UN Security Council meeting over the referendums, calling for Russia to be held accountable for its further attempt to change the Ukrainians' internationally recognized border in a violation of the UN Charter. Foreign Affairs Minister spokesperson Oleg Nikolenko said on Twitter. How about mobilization in Russia? Putin on Wednesday last week ordered the country's first mobilization since World War II, an announcement that saw some Russian men head swiftly to the borders with conflict at frontier crossing with Finland and Georgia, searching in price of air ticket from Moscow. When asked on Saturday why so many Russians are leaving the country, Lavrov pointed to the right of freedom of movement. Putin launched the full-scale invasion after complaining expansion of the U.S.-led NATO alliance since the collapse of Soviet Union was a threat to Russia. Asked whether he could foresee future talk with United States to make Russia feel more secure about what it calls NATO encroachment. Lavrov said it was the West that had broken the previous discussion. Russia has been trying to overcome its international isolation since nearly 3/4 of the General Assembly voted to reprimand Moscow in March. Russia's strategic partner China has been firmly on the fence, criticizing Western sanctions against Russia, but stopped short endorsing or assisting in military campaign with the Russian. In surprise acknowledgement, Putin last week said China leader Xi Jinping had concern and question about Ukraine when asked if Russia was coming under any pressure from China to end the war. Lavrov said, "You may tell your leader, listener, viewer, I avoided to answer your question."